Have you ever met someone just once and still carried them with you for the rest of your life? This is the story of a struggling single father, a frightened pregnant teen, and a snowstorm that would change both their lives forever. It began on a bus in the middle of nowhere and ended with a miracle no one ever saw coming. If you're someone who still believes in second chances, in quiet acts of kindness, and in the healing power of love, you're in the right place. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any of these heartfelt, life-affirming stories. It helps us grow this little corner of light, and we're so grateful to have you here. Now, take a deep breath, and let's begin. The hum of the heater was the only sound inside the workshop, but Jack Winslow didn't hear it. His hands, calloused and steady, moved with instinct over the rusted metal casing of a busted generator. Outside, snow fell in slow spirals, soft, quiet, and relentless. Another Montana winter had arrived. Jack had stopped checking the calendar years ago. Seasons were easier to count by the weight of the cold, by how long it took for the engine oil to thicken, or how the dog didn't bark much when snow covered everything. He paused, wiped his hands on a faded red rag, and glanced at the picture taped above his workbench. A woman with warm eyes and a mischievous half-smile stared back at him, holding a baby boy wrapped in a hospital blanket. "Hey, Ellie," he said softly. His voice cracked, just a little, but enough. It always did when he spoke to her picture. Ellie had been gone for 7 years. She died giving birth to their son, Teddy, and Jack had never quite figured out how to forgive himself. Not for falling asleep in the waiting room. Not for not being in the delivery room. Not for assuming everything would be fine, because he trusted the process. He never trusted anything blindly again. That night, Teddy sat cross-legged on the worn living room carpet, sketching cartoons in a spiral notebook. His hair was as unruly as his mother's once had been, and he hummed softly to himself, lost in the world only a 9-year-old boy could live in. Jack watched from the kitchen, sipping black coffee, the bitter kind that tasted more like memory than comfort. On the table lay a letter he hadn't opened yet. It had arrived that morning, stamped with the official blue seal of a law office in Ohio. He already knew what it said. His father, Thomas Winslow, was dead. "Dad?" Teddy's voice broke into his thoughts. "Are we going somewhere tomorrow?" Jack exhaled, folded the letter in half, and nodded. "Yeah, bud, we're taking a trip." "Far?" "Far enough." They couldn't afford plane tickets. Jack hadn't flown since Ellie died. There was something about being in the sky, powerless, suspended, that didn't sit right with him anymore. So they would ride the Greyhound, a bus with worn seats, bad coffee, and the occasional miracle. The next morning, they boarded the 7:10 a.m. bus heading east, cutting across frozen plains and snow-dusted highways. Jack helped Teddy settle by the window, wrapping an extra scarf around his neck. The boy leaned against the cold glass, eyes wide. "It's like the world's sleeping," he whispered. Jack smiled, brushing a hand over Teddy's shoulder. Sometimes winter makes you quiet enough to hear things that matter. 3 rows behind them, a girl barely old enough to be called a woman sat alone. She wore a gray hoodie too thin for the weather and clutched a small duffel bag like it held her last hope. Her face was pale, lips dry, eyes scanning every passenger like she didn't quite trust being seen. Jack noticed her when she asked the driver if she could ride without a ticket. He heard the polite but firm no, saw her shoulders drop. She walked back toward the terminal doors, but paused when she met Teddy's gaze through the window. Their eyes locked for a second. Something unspoken passed between them, fear, maybe, or the need for someone to notice. Jack stood, walked to the driver, and without much thinking handed over his card. "I'll cover hers," he said simply. The driver shrugged. "Your call." When she reboarded, her eyes found Jack's briefly. "Thanks," she murmured, barely above a whisper. He nodded and returned to his seat, brushing off Teddy's curious glance with a half-smile. Her name was Callie Moore. 18, maybe. 20 if life had been hard. Pregnant. Alone. Too proud to ask for help, but too desperate to refuse it. Jack didn't ask questions. She didn't offer answers. But when the bus stopped for lunch at a dusty station with flickering fluorescent lights, he caught her buying only a granola bar and a bottle of water. He handed the cashier a 20 and nodded toward her items. "Add it to mine." Later, she placed a small square of chocolate on the seat next to him without a word. He didn't eat it, but he kept it in his coat pocket. That night, the snow came hard. Wind howled like a wounded animal, and visibility dropped to a whisper. The driver announced they'd pull into a rest area and wait for clearance. Everyone sighed, some cursed. Jack leaned against the window, watching the flakes swirl like memories he didn't want. Teddy was asleep beside him, head on his lap. For a moment there was stillness. Then he heard it. A muffled sound, ragged breathing, a whimper. Callie was doubled over in her seat, hands gripping her belly, eyes wide with panic. Jack froze, and then the world snapped into focus. The silence inside the bus was the kind that wrapped itself around your chest and pressed down, slow and steady. Outside, snow danced beneath the orange glow of the rest stoplights, thickening into a curtain that blurred the world. Jack watched as Callie Moore shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Her hoodie clung to her like damp paper, her face pale, strained. The sound had come again, a muffled gasp, sharp and panicked, followed by her hand gripping the armrest so tightly her knuckles turned white. He didn't move right away. For a moment, his mind flickered back. A hospital room, too bright, too quiet. The soft beep of machines, the smell of antiseptic. Ellie's voice in his memory, breathless, whispering, "Don't leave, please don't leave." He had left. Just for a coffee, just for 10 minutes. By the time he returned, it was over. Jack blinked back the memory and stood. "Hey," he said gently, crouching next to her. "You okay?" Callie looked at him, her pupils wide, skin slick with sweat. It's happening." Jack's stomach turned. "How far along are you?"